For a while there, it seemed like the Commonwealth was finally starting to find its footing. New settlements were being founded. Local economies restarted. It was as if the culture of the past had been reawoken after a 200-year slumber. But, to borrow an old world proverb, nothing good lasts forever.
So I finally had time to properly sit down and watch this new Sim Settlements 2 trailer, and this is insane. On one hand, the production quality of the trailer, but it literally feels like Fallout 4 is just getting a whole new DLC this fall. This is genuinely probably my most anticipated release now for the rest of 2021. And we're going to talk about that, I promise, but before we get into it, there's something else I want to discuss, and this isn't a sponsored segment or anything. There's actually just something genuinely quite cool going on in the community that's, although getting some attention, the scale of it definitely isn't. And what I'm talking about is Bethesda is hiring modders to actually work at Bethesda. So just recently, this got a ton of coverage around the head writer at Fallout London, where basically the head writer on Fallout London was hired as a quest designer at Bethesda Game Studios Austin, which is phenomenal. But something I haven't seen anyone else talk about is that's actually not the only person hired. Someone else that was hired is Nika Cola. Some of you guys probably remember her absolutely amazing quest mod, The Machine in Her. It truly is one of the best story experience quest mods you could download right now for Fallout 4. I would actually say the one quest mod that's probably a bit better is Sim Settlements 2, which she also was the lead narrative designer on. She also just recently got hired by Bethesda. She announced it on her Discord. I'll have links to both the Fallout London Discord and Nika Cola's Discord down below. And there's actually two other people. With these two other people, I couldn't find public posts about them. I heard about it through the grapevine, so I don't want to out them here in case they are trying to keep it a bit more subtle. But from what I could tell, over the past month and a half to 2 months, Bethesda has hired at least 4 mod authors in the Fallout 4 and Skyrim modding community, which is amazing. Most of them do have quest designer jobs. It doesn't really seem like this is for some specific project, as several went to different studios, but just one of those things I wanted to highlight right at the start of this video because it's just something amazing to see happening. These people are creating some of the best mods in the community, and it is genuinely leading to full-time jobs. Not only that, this seems like it was definitely a directive by Bethesda. It's no coincidence all of these people got hired in such quick succession. They were definitely doing this intentionally. Now, I know people are going to start speculating, oh, a new Fallout game, or is this something with Fallout 76? I have no idea about the implications. That's not the nature of this video. I just want to highlight something really awesome that's going on. Something else that's really awesome that's going on is Sim Settlements 2. Not too long ago, they released a teaser trailer teasing off the Chapter 2 for the mod. The mod came out late last year in October. It is, in my opinion, the single best Fallout 4 mod to ever come out, and it is getting a huge update. And although it's called the Chapter 2, it really feels like an expansion to the mod overall. The teaser showed off what looked like it would be almost a more combat-focused experience. You could hear some gunshots as well as dialogue mentioning to forget the beacon and a better world, but at what cost? And just recently, they dropped the full trailer, and as I mentioned in the intro to this one, this is incredible. To me, this was genuinely one of the best Fallout 4 fan-created trailers I've ever seen for a mod, and it's actually reflective of content we'll be able to play in the next 3 months, which is insane. It's genuinely professional grade. Bethesda could have put this trailer out. And basically, it's teasing Chapter 2, which is going to be called the Gunner Outbreak. We see gunners that seem to be led by somebody named Captain West, taking over some of the established settlements in the world. One of the interesting parts here, it is mentioned in the trailer, how these gunners actually have a mystery employer that seems to be motivating them to actually take over the settlements. In the Fallout lore, the gunners, of course, are mercenaries, so that makes sense. And it definitely seems like we're going to be able to engage and at least somewhat side with the gunners during this, based off some of the gameplay actually shown in the background. It just looks like we're talking to them. Also, during one of these shots, you can see Toomba Jamba's combat power armor. I actually made a video about this mod years ago. It was one of the first big power armor mods to release in general for Fallout 4. It still holds up amazingly, and I'm really happy to actually see this getting integrated with a full quest line and getting used properly. And one of the interesting parts with this is the trailer does suggest there seems to be some kind of conflict within the gunners themselves as far as the methods that are being used to accomplish their goal. So perhaps there's some meaner gunners and some nicer gunners, and who knows, maybe we'll even get to make decisions around that ourselves. And one of the things you love to see in this trailer, and they actually expand a bit on this feature on their website, is it's going to have some integration with the base game of Fallout 4. As it seems like the way this will work is during the story, we'll be able to actually ask the factions we are potentially allied with in Fallout 4 to help us out with the Gunners or against the Gunners. It's not really clear. And later on, you could actually see some synths standing with Gunners. So likely in that playthrough, we are siding with the Gunners or working with the Gunners, and the synths are helping us. We asked the Institute to come in and help. And they describe how they want this chapter 2 overall to really act parallel to the main story. It's not really replacing any of the huge main quests, but there's some really nice tie-ins and options based off what you did in the vanilla world. I love stuff like this, actually building off of what is there already, not just trying to create something totally separate or new. There are clearly a ton of new locations added in with this. We could see a bunch of these in the trailer. And again, as I mentioned earlier, one of the most exciting parts about this is it's not even that far away. The Sim Settlements team almost likes to take a similar approach to Bethesda with a teaser, then a full trailer, and then the release date isn't typically that long thereafter. So in fall of 2021, you'll get to play this on both PC and Xbox. Yes, this will be available on Xbox One. The FAQ on their website has a ton more details that get me even more excited. Two of the things shown off during the trailer are expanded upon here. In the trailer, you could see a Commonwealth police force, which is basically enforcing the law, trying to take out some lawbreakers, and a bunch of Commonwealth doctors who are helping some people. It almost seems like this is kind of a Responders-esque approach with this DLC, and they describe how as you are actually rebuilding the Commonwealth, which will likely be a segment of this one and is a huge plot point during part 1 or chapter 1 of this mod, you're building settlements, you're building up different settlements around the Commonwealth to kind of restore it. It's finally giving you that functionality on a large scale and a quest tie-in. So as you start reestablishing the world and basically small towns get set up, these new factions will start to appear. You're going to need doctors, you're going to need police to actually enforce the law. So it's going to be a gradual thing. And describe how in addition to that main gunner focused story, there'll be 3 decent sized quest lines introducing some of the other features, other factions and characters, and even some other new stuff. There's also going to be a ton of new features. They mention a disease mechanic will be added, that likely tying into those doctors. So you'll need doctors to actually cure your population. A world repopulation system. So based on a settlement success, some of the other areas will become more populated. And there's even going to be a totally new gameplay mode, allowing you to establish a faction headquarters. They're pretty big with this, and I'm curious to see what it entails. Will it be kind of similar to a Conqueror Light? That was one of the past expansions for Sim Settlements 1. And again, one of the really cool parts about all of this is, it seems like this is going to be one of those mods that has a ton of new functionality for Fallout 4. But what I loved about Sim Settlements 1 and why I described it as the best mod ever for Fallout 4 is not only did it completely overhaul and transform the settlement system, it basically added all of that content in via questing. And those quests were just interesting in their own right. And it seems like that marriage of quests as well as feature/content is coming back with chapter 2. And the attention paid overall to both the Gunners and that vanilla storyline really gets me excited to see how this will interact with your just genuine decisions in a Fallout 4 playthrough. The same things you've done hundreds of times now. Okay, maybe not 100, but tens of times now. So to me overall, this absolutely looks amazing. If you are even remotely excited for this, please check out the trailer, give it a view. At the time of filming, it only has 45,000 views. It deserves over 1 million, not just 45,000. Even further, they have a Patreon. They sell t-shirts. Support them in one way or another. This is probably one of the coolest things coming to Fallout 4, and this is all free content. Supporting these fan-made creators that are just adding more and more to the game that we love is definitely encouraged by me. And of course, if you haven't actually played Chapter 1, now is a great time. They mentioned in the FAQ that although you don't need to play Chapter 1 to experience Chapter 2, it is encouraged, and it definitely will add to it. But even further, we have recently seen some updates from Fallout London also, in which they actually shared this really short little teaser video of some horses in Fallout London, which looks phenomenal. It also raises a bunch of questions like, will there actually be mounts in a Fallout game that work well? Of course, they pull it off in Skyrim, and it works at least relatively well. But in Fallout, I think that could be pretty cool, especially running around post-apocalyptic London with the overgrown trees and foliage on a horse, and they even show off some other animals that will be coming with the overall mod. Over the past few weeks and months, Fallout London has just been posting steady updates ever since that big trailer drop, and even a while before the trailer drop. It's coming along amazingly, and even though they just lost their head writer, they probably lost their head writer in the single best way they possibly could have. If you don't remember, she got hired by Bethesda. And even further, they actually released a showcase video not too long ago, really highlighting all of this progress. So I have a link to that down below in the description. Also, if you want some more updates on Fallout London. With that said, hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. one. It was really such a feel-good video for me. I'm so excited for all of these mods. I'm so happy to see modders getting jobs at Bethesda. I know for a lot of the people working on these games, that really is their dream in a way. So to see that start getting fulfilled, at least for some people, is just really feel good. And I wanted to take a moment to highlight it in this video. With that said though, hopefully as always again, you found this video informative. And with that, I hope to see you all next time. Later.